You need to think of your house as your own private jail cell because while on community control, you are confined, period. You get 1/2 hour before and 1/2 hour after any pre-approved escapade. Otherwise, you're violated.
The knock at the door came at 3 a.m. By the time Darren reached the front porch in his ankle monitor, the officers were already walking away. "We got a tamper alert," one of them mumbled. But Darren hadn't left the house, not even a step. Still, he was taken back to jail. No explanation, no second chances. And the scariest part, he didn't even understand what triggered the violation. This wasn't freedom. It was digital surveillance dressed up as mercy. And what Darren didn't know, and what many people on house arrest don't realize, is that not all ankle monitors are created equal. Some are watching where you go, some are listening to what you say, and some are tracking what you drink. Let's pull back the curtain on the world of electronic monitoring, the modern prison without bars. And to understand how we got here, we have to start with the oldest ankle monitor in the game, EHD. Section 1, EHD, Electronic Home Detention, the original digital leash. Electronic home detention, often shortened to EHD, is the most basic form of house arrest tracking. You've probably seen it in movies. A thick black band wrapped around the ankle, pinging your location to a central hub every few seconds. But here's the part the movies don't show. EHD doesn't actually use GPS. Instead, it connects to a receiver installed inside the house, usually a landline or cellular box. If the wearer steps too far outside the signal radius, the system sends an alert. That means if your power goes out, or your internet drops, or even if you walk too far in the backyard, you're flagged for possible violation. The court uses EHD in low-risk cases where public safety isn't a major concern, like first-time DUI offenders or those with non-violent probation terms. It's cheap, it's simple, and it's rigid. But as crime patterns changed and courts wanted more control, something new had to emerge. Something that didn't just monitor when you left the house, but exactly where you went. And that led to the rise of GPS. Section 2, GPS tracking. Big brother in your shoe. GPS tracking feels like science fiction until you're the one wearing it. Unlike EHD, which only knows when you're home, GPS knows your every move, every street, every store, every bathroom stall. Some devices even show your walking speed. Officers can set up exclusion zones, areas you're not allowed to enter, like schools, parks, or a victim's neighborhood. If you get too close, a warning goes off. Sometimes on your monitor, sometimes directly to law enforcement. It's mostly used for higher risk individuals, domestic violence offenders, gang affiliates, sex offense parolees, basically anyone the court wants a tighter grip on. But here's where it gets darker. Most GPS monitors still don't work indoors. So if a person lives in a high-rise building, a concrete basement, or even walks through a tunnel, their monitor might report gaps in data. That's enough to trigger a violation in some jurisdictions. Even worse, these devices run on batteries. And if your charger breaks or you fall asleep with a dead unit, you're not just out of compliance, you're heading back to jail. But GPS only tracks location. What if the court wants to track your body? That's where Scram comes in. Section 3, Scram, the alcohol sniffing bracelet. The Scram device is like having a breathalyzer welded to your ankle. It stands for Secure Continuous Remote Alcohol Monitor, and it does exactly that. Every 30 minutes, 24/7, it tests your sweat for alcohol. You can't fake it, you can't time it. You can't trick it with gum or mouthwash. The Scram unit is used almost exclusively in DUI and alcohol-related cases, especially repeat offenders. Judges assign it when they believe alcohol itself is the root of someone's crime pattern. And the consequences for failure? 1 drop of alcohol, even trace amounts from a cooking sauce or hand sanitizer, can trigger a violation. The system doesn't care about intent, only chemical readings. Some former wearers have reported rashes, burns, or sleep disruptions from the Scram's constant sampling. Section 4. Voice verification and facial check-ins. Imagine getting a random phone call at 2:13 p.m. and you have exactly 45 seconds to answer. The voice on the other end says, "Please state your name for identity confirmation." That's voice verification. It's being used increasingly in remote probation systems to confirm you're where you say you are. It compares your voice print, like a fingerprint, but with sound, to a stored sample. If you slur your words, whisper too quietly, or are in a noisy environment, the system might not verify you. That can be treated as non-compliance. In some newer cases, especially with smartphone-based house arrests, courts require facial recognition check-ins. You get a push notification, open the app, and must take a live selfie within a time limit. No hat, no filters, no excuses. Some probationers say it's less intrusive than GPS. Others say it feels like being stalked by a robot boss. And these systems are often outsourced to third-party tech companies, which means your face and voice might be sitting on servers you've never heard of. But the real cost of these systems isn't just emotional, it's financial. Section 5. The hidden fees behind electronic monitoring. Most people assume electronic monitoring is a form of mercy. You're lucky to be home instead of jail, they're told. But what they don't mention is that many of these systems come with a daily rental fee. EHD and GPS, often $7 to $15 per day. Scram, closer to $20 per day. In some states, if you miss a payment, you're considered non-compliant, just like if you broke a rule. That means poor people stay in jail longer, while people with money get to serve time at home. It's turned justice into a subscription service. And worse, the companies behind these systems are mostly private, meaning the more devices they deploy, the more money they make. This would lead to something even more disturbing, something we'll cover next: how electronic monitoring is quietly replacing jail time altogether. Section 6. The rise of e-carceration, prison without walls. At first, electronic monitoring was meant to be a tool, a last resort. But in recent years, courts have started using it as a first resort. In some jurisdictions, even people who haven't been convicted yet, just accused, are being placed on monitors while awaiting trial. That means even if you are presumed innocent, you are still tracked like a criminal. And for many, these systems go beyond surveillance. They control your job, your family time, your ability to leave the house for emergencies. You can't go to your kid's recital unless the court says so. You can't grab groceries without checking the time window. You can't even take a shower without keeping your charger plugged in nearby. It's a constant psychological weight. Some call it freedom, others call it e-carceration. And to understand where this is headed, we have to ask, who decides when the monitor comes off? Conclusion. In theory, electronic monitoring is a second chance, a way to keep people safe, reduce prison overcrowding, and give former inmates a path forward. But in practice, it's often just a new kind of cage, one you wear under your jeans. From EHD to GPS, Scram to face scans, each system promises security, but delivers a compromise. The question isn't whether we should track people. The question is, are we building a justice system that corrects or just controls? Because the line between freedom and surveillance is thinner than the strap on an ankle monitor.